All right. Hello. Good
Hi.
evening or good afternoon if you're in Arizona. And well, thanks everyone for joining. We've got a really big turnout tonight and lots of interest uh, in this evening's talk. And very warm welcome to Deborah Gardner. Please give us a wave so everyone can see you. Thanks
Hi.
for joining us all the way from Arizona. Um, Absolutely delighted to have you here. We've only met by email, but the energy and the enthusiasm that's come through on email has been amazing. So I'm really excited to have you on here. So Deborah last year swam the Catalina Channel and became the oldest woman to do that, which is already amazing. But she's also an entrepreneur. She's an author and a public speaker. So just it's, well, amazing, really. You just do so many things, and it's really impressive. So what we're going to do is something a little bit different today. I've got a video that Deborah sent me that I'm going to play while Deborah introduces herself. This is the video of your Catalina. It's a summary video of your Catalina swim. So I'm going to turn on screen sharing, get that video
Wonderful.
playing, and then leave you to talk over the video if that is
Wonderful. It's
okay.
nice to
So
be here. I was so excited to be here, you all. I shaved my legs. So, so kind of, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be training with them, right? But I was really excited. So what I thought I'd do is give you a little recap of my swim.
can you see the video?
Everybody see the video?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, as you know, it's always about preparation, even up to the last hour. I'm not drinking a margarita, that's for sure, but I did start drinking my feeds, and I'm not nervous at all. Sometimes I keep thinking when I was out there at 10:30 at night, why am I out here when everybody else is at home on the couch watching Netflix, and here this crazy old lady out here in the middle of the ocean. This was kind of an aerial view. And of course, you can see that I'm just that little dot in between, which was kind of cool because it seemed like I was, swimming between some Christmas lights that lit up. It was a full super moon that night. So even my kayaker didn't need the headlamp. We can really kind of see
Lovely.
far off into the distance. But it was because of the super moon, it was 2 to 3 foot swells all night long. But as it became day, it was a new day. Thank goodness. The swells started to mellow out for me. And of course, this is where my coach finally got a chance to get in to pace me. This is the shipping line that we just passed, and really never seen it that close before. And of course, my crew was able to really start to relax and cheer me on because they knew I needed more encouragement than ever before. This is my little charity dog, Frankie, that I enjoy having along with my swim. And other than that, I just kept on going. And the sun did come out, which was a nice change. But as we know, sometimes land can seem so close, but yet so far. But when it did, I was able to enjoy it with my crew joining me at the end in order to become the Guinness Book of World Record holder.
2021, there was a singular case that was dealt with highly appropriately.
Thank, thank
When
you,
there was
Deborah.
a
Sorry, a couple
collection
of
of
people have
cases that then
joined,
came
and
forward
there's
in
some background noise.
2022,
If you
we acted extremely
can
quickly
you
in
can
relation
you
to
mute
recognising
yourself if you've
this
got?
issue. But it is a really inconvenient.
I think it's, there we go.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so um, I hope you enjoyed that little video. Um, so let's dive in with some questions, if that's
Sure.
okay. So what I want to do, this is how we go. I'm going to ask a few questions of my own, um, because I can, and then I've got lots of you sent in questions in advance. So we're going to ask some of the questions that you've sent in. If you think of more questions as we're going along, please put them in the chat. Lucy is monitoring the chat, so if it's sort of directly relevant, Lucy will jump in and ask the question straight away. If we've got related questions, Lucy might group them together and sort of summarize them as a single question. So hopefully we'll have me asking some questions, We may have a couple of other videos to show you. We've got one video we definitely want to show you at the end, and your questions, and then a sort of open discussion, hopefully all within an hour is the plan. And Deborah, I'm sure everyone wants to know a little bit about your training and your swimming background and how you came to be swimming the Catalina Channel at the age of 66 and a half.
Well, it all stemmed from when I first started to swim at 7 years old. I actually was brought up in a 16-foot aristocrat trailer with a family of five. So there wasn't much room for us to play at home or be on video games and things like that. But we did find the local swimming pool, 50-meter swimming pool, to start, the swimming career, which was really nice because we lived in a very one of the hottest cities in America, Yuma, Arizona, where it averages 120 degrees every single day. So being in the pool was the coolest place that we can find. And I don't know, I guess I really enjoyed it so much. Has anybody ever seen that movie Splash with Daryl Hannah? It's an American movie, but it's a good movie. Daryl Hannah, she plays a mermaid. Actually, I kept thinking that should have been me. So that movie inspired me to continue to swim. I swam all the way through college, but of course I came up against a lot of challenges that ended up getting washed out to sea. One was missing the Pan Am Games by 100th of a second. The 1980 boycott, the Olympic boycott. I mean, a lot of things that I dreamt of just was washed out to sea. So I literally quit swimming after college. I just hung up my goggles, my cap, and said no more. Got into the corporate world for about 10 years. And all of a sudden, I got this itch to get back into the water. And when I got back in the pool, I still wasn't feeling it. And I thought, I'm trying to give this a chance because I love swimming, but it just did not feel like I wanted to go through the disappointments that I had earlier in my career. One day I met a gal that actually swam the Triple Crown, and because I saw, her tattoos on her back. And I asked, what is that? And she told me, and she invited me out to the La Jolla area, and I started swimming. Started at 8 o'clock at night. I don't know why she threw me in the ocean at night, but it was one of the most scariest but yet most exciting things I've ever done. And I've been hooked ever since. So that was only a couple of years ago, right during the COVID time, because, the pools were closed, but the ocean was open. So I just kept swimming, and just set a huge goal, starting out with the Catalina Channel. And I'm so glad I did. Now I know what open water is all about. And I just go step by step now with my next challenge. But I still use the pool. The pool is a great place for me to continue my training. Yeah. And now I have a purpose of why I use the pool for my open water.
So can you tell us a little bit about how much do you train? How many hours per week, or meters a week, or just a little bit how it's structured and what it looks like?
Yeah, well, it depends on the swim, I'm finding, but I did hire a workout coach that schedules my training for me. So for Catalina, it took a year to decide what goal I was going to go with on that, because I'm a sprinter in the pool, so I'm only used to 50 and 100s. So she had to get me to the hour, to the 2 hour, to the 4 hour, to the 6 hour as quickly as she could in that year. And so we were really focusing on that. And also, of course, strength training and, other things that are included. But the first 3 months, she had to get me acclimated to the long distance and, of course, get over to the ocean, which we don't have in Arizona. We have over 300 lakes, but I really needed that ocean experience. So that first 3 months was really a tester for me. After that, the next 3 months was where she picked up the yardage for me and the amount of time in the water. And I can feel the difference there. And I started entering other events to get that momentum, which was very helpful. Not waiting just for the big event to come, but have some little tiny step events to help you along the way. That really helped me. And so by the eighth and ninth month, I was actually more than ready. So I was excited.
So just so I understand, so you obviously swam up to college, then you stopped. You dabbled a little bit in your 30s, but didn't really take to it. And then, I mean, have you kept fit all the way through your life, or did you come back when you came back to swimming? Were you quite out of shape and starting again, or what sort of condition were you in when you started back swimming again?
Yeah, I went into the career of the hospitality industry as a meeting event planner, hotel person, and we have crazy hours. I traveled a lot with my job, so I would take my cap, goggles, and swimsuit with me. So whatever hotel I was staying at, I mean, it's such an easy thing to pack, but my heart was still not in it. So I believe, Simon, that I was really out of shape because I was a workaholic. And that's when I got back into the pool, it was like, oh gosh, this is going to be a long haul. Gained weight, my mental, mentality was just not there, and so it was like starting from scratch.
Mm.
It was
Okay.
hard. It was very, very hard.
No, I think that's actually really useful background because I think we have a lot of people here who some of them may have swum as youngsters and have stopped. Some people are coming to swimming later in life and
Yeah,
haven't got that background. Um so it's interesting to hear that you went from almost zero. I know you had your swimming background 40 years ago, but almost zero and then starting again. And you mentioned you do land training and weight training, and we've had quite a lot of questions about that. And I think particularly for older swimmers, that is of an interest because we know that strength declines as we get older. Can you talk a little bit about how you incorporate that into your swimming training? Because obviously, if you're doing a big volume of swim training, putting land
yeah,
training on top, and you still work, and you you know how
yeah,
you so
yeah.
what are you doing, and how are you managing to fit all that in?
Yeah, it is a balancing act, and it is interesting how I stopped, and a lot of times people say, you should never quit, you should never quit. Well, I'm actually glad I did. I'm glad I did quit because it allowed me to, like you said, go to ground zero and start all over. And sometimes we do have to take, three steps backwards to move 10 steps forward. And that is okay to do. It's not a failure situation. I looked at it as, hey, that pool life was one chapter of my life. Now I have this new chapter in my life and I'm able to start from ground zero. And one of the areas that we didn't know back in the day was strength training or land training. How do you do that? There was no research done. There was no methodology to it. Today, there's so many resources that help us. I believe land training is just as important as when you're in the water type of training. And the type of training I do is pretty much to help prevent injuries more than anything. I believe that your technique is more important than your fitness, 100%. Because if you have sloppy techniques and you're not practicing those land training, techniques, it's not going to work for you in the water. So the land that I do at my age, I'm now, well, when I got the record, I was 66 years old in 72 days. I'm going on 67 now. So for me, band work is very helpful in not getting injured. And band work gives me the flexibility of different types of movements that I need. And what I start out with, though, every single day, mainly if you have a dog, this is perfect, is walking. Warming up your body on land first thing in the morning, walking the dog, walking a couple miles, and then doing your stretching and my bands. It works for me. It really helps me warm up and get there. And also I'll do water aerobics. I'll do hiking. But stretching is very, very important. But you have to wait until your body is warmed up, and walking does that for me.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really useful because we did have a lot of questions on strength training and injury prevention, and we might come back to this topic a bit later. Another topic that came up quite a lot, people are asking about diet and nutrition. And so, I mean, do you pay much attention to that? I'm not talking about the nutrition during the swim, although we might come to that, but in your sort of day-to-day nutrition to support your training and your lifestyle.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that because I have four coaches and one of them is a nutritionist. Um, a couple years ago, my husband and I, we became vegans. We wanted to try what it was like to be a vegan because I've always been, making sure that I always had chicken for every meal and things like that. And I wasn't getting the strength that I needed. So we became vegans for about 3 months and I lost a lot of weight, but then I became very weak in the water. So then I turned to vegetarian. And believe it or not, being a vegetarian, I have more energy in the water than ever I can remember. I'm not going to say that, hey, I'm swimming faster than when I was 20, but I feel like the energy is really there for me as a vegetarian. And that was tough when I had to figure out what my feed was going to be like for Catalina. Because being a vegetarian, there's not that, it's not that focus. It's all sugar. It's all, high energy on top of, my meals that I do have. But anything green, I will eat. I'm all about vegetarian. Beans, I just love, bean burritos, which they made for me on the boat. It was like when I got done, I had something to look forward to. So yeah, nutrition is huge, huge. I've been dealing with strep throat lately, and I'm all about drinking a lot of water. And it's been helping me heal much faster because I drink a lot of water too. A lot of water, plain water. Yeah.
So,
So nutrition is important.
obviously, I'm vegetarian as well, and the question people always ask me is, where do you get your protein from? And I'm vegetarian, so I have dairy, so I get mine from dairy and then from pulses and beans.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the same for you, or do you take any protein supplement or any other supplements to support your food, or is it just what you can get from your natural diet?
Yeah, one of my sponsors is Hammer, and Hammer does a really good job with their supplements. Really good job. So I take those supplements from them, the protein supplements from them. But I'm big on juicing. Every morning, I make my juice with all the, the powder, uh, flax seeds and Talamek and the things, with all the bananas and spinach, and I'm big on and ginger, lots of ginger. Ginger is very good for the system. So I think it's just a matter of just educating yourself and trial and error and see what works for you. But I don't know about you, Simon, but my energy is just through the roof just becoming a vegetarian. And it was tough. It was really tough to do that
I
because I love meat.
I
But
suspect you've always been brimming with energy for the amount of time.
but I try, especially at this age, right? But yeah, dreams don't age. Bottom line, dreams don't age. So we have all the time in the world to continue to experiment because we mostly have the wisdom that we've gathered over the years. So why not use it?
Yeah. So that's actually a very dreams don't age, and you've done Catalina Channel, and you're obviously still swimming, and I know people are going to be asking this, what's next on the agenda swimming wise?
Well, now that we've gotten this one under my belt, all four of the coaches have their own version of what I should be doing next. They want me to go for more Guinnesses, but I just enjoy my own personal goals and record-breaking goals for myself more than chasing things like that. I mean, literally, it was only a couple weeks before my swim that I knew that I was even going to have the Guinness. I wish the Federation didn't tell me that because it puts so much pressure on me, but it's like, I just want to finish. But it was a nice delight to have that as well. But I am just actually, if anyone wants to, connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, I just announced yesterday my next challenge. And so I am going to be swimming the Anacapa island from Anacapa to Oxnard, which is just near Santa Barbara, with the Santa Barbara Swimming Channel Association. And in order to create my own record, I decided to do it my favorite stroke, which is backstroke. So I will be swimming 12 miles backstroke, which is going to be an adjustment. I always like to up the ante with myself, and that's what's key. You really got to find out what is it that you want to do. How do you want to challenge yourself with your next swim, instead of following what everybody else is doing? What's going to make it, and now what's really kind of cool is my crew is really excited. They're like, oh gosh, we have to put flag poles on each side of the kayak now so that you can see. They're going to have to keep their eyes and ears open a lot more, because Anacapa is known for being an aquarium. So I certainly don't want to miss out on any whales or sea lions. There are a lot more dolphins that are going to be swimming with me. But I just know that the crew has to shift, and we have to pivot on what this is going to look like for 12 miles. But I'm excited about that. And so because of that, and next year will be Lake Tahoe, I'll be able to solidify the California Triple Crown. Then I'll go for the other Triple Crown. And then I'm also talking with some swimmers like Andy Donaldson about the Ocean 7. But here's the thing, Simon. This is really not my ultimate goal, is to swim these channels. My ultimate goal is to get a tattoo. Yes, I really want a tattoo. My husband always said, well, I'm going to divorce you if you ever get a tattoo. I'm like, well, then how can I get a tattoo? And I told him about this idea. He goes, okay, well, that makes sense. But no, it's just a fun analogy to have something that you personally want to set a goal for yourself. It could be above and beyond just swimming. Whatever it is, it's yours. And for me, I want to get a tattoo, and I want it to be meaningful.
Okay. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing updates on that in the future. So what I wanted to do, because this is about swimming into your 50s, 60s and beyond, I wanted to have a very brief interlude. And this is some, I went to a Masters Gala in Crawley a couple of weeks ago, and I took some short clips of video from some of the other swimmers that were there. And it will take about just a couple of minutes to whiz through, but I think you're going to be interested to see these about what people of certain ages can do. And I think after watching these, you're gonna think Deborah is just really too young to be doing this. And so let me try this and see if I can get this working. And so it's very brief. So when I can get this going, so this is Derek Parr over here. He's swimming. He's just moved into the 80 to 84 age group, so he's 80 or nearly 80 or 80 years old, and he's swimming 200 meters butterfly here, which I think you'll all agree is pretty impressive. So that's one.
Amazing.
This is another 80-year-old, Chris Dunn, and here he is swimming the 400-meter freestyle, which he did, I think, in 5 minutes and 42 seconds, which if you've ever tried to do a 400-meter freestyle, you'll realize that is actually a pretty sharp time.
Especially as it was a long course time.
That's his long course time as well, yeah. So that will be a quicker time than lots of people a quarter of his age. So that is very impressive. And then we have here, this is Jenny Ball. Also, I can't remember what time she did, but she's in the 85 to 89 age group and swimming the 400 front crawl, and just looks so comfortable in the water and so strong, I think, she just keeps going and does it. And then most impressive of all, if I can get to the next slide, this is Jane Asher, who is a legend of masters swimming. And here she's swimming she's just moved into the 90 to 95 age group. So she's 90 years old. And here she's swimming the 200-meter backstroke. And she set a new world record for that age group during that swim. I don't know if you can hear the sound, but
I thought she had just turned 95, Simon.
She's only just turned 90.
Moved into the next age group.
You know, there was a whole sort of, everyone knew that was happening in the pool. So there was a massive amount of support for Jane. I remember when I met her for the first time about 15 years ago, and I thought she was 60 and she was already 80. So yeah.
Wow.
So Deborah, compared with those, you're still very young, and suggests that there's lots still to come. So
yeah, for sure.
I need to get out of that and get back to my questions now.
There's a good
Lucy,
question there.
while I'm getting back to the questions, did we get anything? Has anything sort of directly relevant?
There's lots of interesting questions. One of the questions was about mental preparation, and particularly, was there any moment in the Catalina swim where you had a kind of a dip and you wondered why you were doing it?
Oh yes, oh yes, and many times. I was out there. Sometimes swimming can be a lonely sport when you're out there by yourself, but at the same time, having the crew there really helped as well. What happened though with all the swells, I mean, 3 to 4 foot swells happening, I was getting slapped in the face so much that I kept saying, why am I here? Why am I here?
You got qualified.
Oh, somebody's talking, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to try and mute them.
You have to mute your mic.
I've done it.
Yeah, it was just, I kept getting slapped in both sides of my face that I was trying to breathe at the same time because, we're trained to breathe the way we need to breathe. But at the same time, I felt like I was in a dishwasher that night because my body was just going all over the place. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to have to let my body go where it needs to go and start thinking about how I'm going to get through this. Because there were many times I wanted to get out. And so I started to play a game with myself. Since it was a full supermoon, I knew I had the most amazing view of that moon from the position I was in than anyone else in the world. So I thought, okay, I have to turn my head to breathe more because if not, I'm going to continue to get salt water in my mouth, which I did, meaning for 3 days after my swim, all I could eat was milkshakes, which was not a bad thing, but it's the only thing I could get down my throat. But because the waves were just swished into my face so much, I had to turn it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start playing a game and look at the moon. I'm going to turn my head farther than I usually do. So I would swim and breathe and I would turn and look at that moon. Then I would put my head back down, swim, turn and breathe. And that got my mind off of being slapped in the face so many times. I started looking and appreciating, wow, I have this view of this full supermoon, the one day of the year that I get to enjoy it instead of keeping thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be a bunch of waves in my face. And so I thought that playing that game with myself really helped me get from feed to feed to feed, because that's what you're doing. You're swimming feed to feed to feed. But in between those feeds, it was just always being slapped in the face. So I just kind of embraced the game. Some people sing, some people recite poets. I just had the time of my life, just keep looking at that moon that one night that I would be able to see. I do recall one ship going in front of us that was completely lit up, and that I knew was one of those cruise ships. And I thought, okay, those guys are out there partying on that cruise ship. I better make a party of myself out here. at the same time. So that game, playing that game, and how I learned the game thing was I was brought up in the military. So my dad told me one time when I was young that in order for him to train to go into the military, he was put in a box and he had to figure out what to do to entertain himself in that box. So when I was out there in the ocean, I remembered him telling me that story about being in a box. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a box. What am I going to do? And that's how I came up with looking at the moon and just playing my own game. So sometimes you have to trick your mind just by say, hey, let's play a game. What can I do to get my mind off of what I really want to do and get out, pull myself? But it really worked. It really worked. Before I knew it, the sun was coming up. And that's always a good day when the sun comes up.
I think the audience liked your game. You got a lot of hearts going up the screen when you were talking about looking at the moon.
Yeah.
There was another question as well. I mean, you said you were a pool swimmer and then you ventured into the sea. You must have been in the sea for a long time. So there's questions about the cold and the cold water tolerance and whether that's changed. We've just ascertained that you were a young swimmer, but has your cold water changed, your cold water tolerance changed as you've become slightly older?
Well, this has been the most surprising part of getting into open water. I thought for sure there is no way in hell I will ever swim in cold water, especially coming from the pool, like you said, Lucy, and especially living in Arizona. I like my heat. We have lakes here that can get up to 84 degrees in the summertime, and I just, that's fine with me. But what I found was when I started to train in cold water, it not only worked my mental aspect, but my physical, because before open water, I've had 2 doctors tell me that I'm going to have 2 partial knee replacements. And I've been putting it off, dealing with the injection shots for a couple of years. Well, once I got into cold water, that inflammation went away. So now my knee, I dance, I walk around in high heels on stages now. My knees are fine. So the benefits of cold water, even my, I was getting arthritis in my fingers. Literally, I would wear these little gloves on my fingers when I would swim. Eventually, I took them off because the more numb my body got, the more I couldn't feel it, the better my body was able to perform. That was the most surprising thing. So I welcome the cold water. I won't swim anywhere where I have to wear a wetsuit because it restricts me. I don't like that type of swimming, but I will try to bear it as much as I can. So in Arizona, our lakes get down to 52, and that's very comfortable for me now. So, hey, mentally and physically, there's a lot of benefits to it.
You are an amazing advert for it, for sure.
We might need to translate some of those numbers if anyone wants to jump on Google and do the Fahrenheit to Celsius centigrade for us.
Mental.
Can I ask one more thing, Simon?
Yeah, of course.
Only because there's a very polite question came through, which I'm going to read it because it's nicely worded. It says, if you don't mind talking about it, and assuming you've gone through it, was menopause a challenge during training? And if so, how did you overcome it? Menopause. Has that affected you? As your body gets older as a woman, and you've gone to, it's a polite question, but it's a bold question. And it says, if you don't mind talking about it, has it affected your training?
No, regarding what part of?
Has it made you feel less strong, more strong? Has it held you back? Have you any advice about dealing with it?
Dealing with, I'm sorry.
Menopause.
Training through menopause.
Menopause.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes. No, actually, you know what? I really haven't gone through menopause because I think this has helped. I, for some reason, kept going, okay, when am I going to have this? When am I going to have this? But, when I was in college, even my periods were very short because of the level of athletic training. So I think the more training you do, the more your body is going to correct itself. It's going to heal itself. So I think it's what it is. It's all about moving. I think most women that have a lot of medical issues is because they're not moving. Bottom line, if you are moving, your body is going to, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but I believe your body is going to respond in a positive way. So menopause, I really haven't gone through it. Never had any of the sweats, never, oh, I love all the hearts. My sister, who doesn't work out, she's had sweats, she's had to get the pellet shots. Bottom line, it's all about moving. If you are moving, your body is going to respond the way it needs to respond. And majority of the time, it's going to be in a positive way. So this is a great sport to do this, and I kept waiting for it to come, but it never did.
There's so many people in this audience who are just celebrating what you've just said.
Yay! So just keep moving. That is the key. Keep moving. If you're not in the water, there's always land exercises to do while you're watching TV, doing sit-ups, doing barbells, sitting, doing the band work. There's always movement that can take place instead of just sitting. I don't even watch TV anymore. I'm just too busy moving. Got to keep moving.
Okay. I would like to jump to some of the questions that people sent in advance, if that's okay. And one of them, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about mental preparation already, but Catalina is a known area for sharks. So someone has asked, how do you have any fear of sharks, and how do you deal with that? And then the rest of the question was about dealing with the monsters in your head as well.
Good question. That is probably the number one question I get all the time. How are you dealing with the sharks, Deborah? I remember when I first tried out for my first swimming team in Yuma, Arizona. We had to swim across not the 25-yard, not the 50-meter version. And I remember when I first dove in, I literally thought a shark was chasing me. So when I got to Catalina, I kept asking the same thing. Will I see that shark chasing me? But I was so busy that night trying to quit getting the swells to slap me in the face. I forgot about the sharks. And at the same time, I don't think the sharks would really bother me. That's my attitude, because think about this. If you showed up at someone's house, like the ocean, the sharks, this is their house, in a Speedo, I think they would look the other way. At least for me. I don't look too good in a Speedo. So I just feel like if I'm very respectful to their house. This is their lane. This is what they belong in. And if they don't want me, if one appears, I'll pull myself, because that's their domain. But I was so busy that night trying not to get slapped in the face as many times as I did, and trying to figure out every single wave. Do I put my hand over it, through it, or under it? And that was another game I was playing with myself. I see a wave coming. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Which way am I going to go? What am I going to do? And it's a matter of just not thinking about it. And I think they feel that. I think all sea creatures feel you in there. Are you one of them, or are you against them? Are you trying to invade them? Are you disrespecting them? If you've got that mental capacity that you're leaving them alone, I really believe they're going to leave you alone, because they're not there to bother you. They're there just to be curious about you. And I think it's more scarier to swim with them closer to shore, because that's where their feeding is. But I just feel that especially the season of swimming, they're so deep into the water where it's cooler because it's warmer at the top. They're not even close by. So again, and someone mentioned in the chat, this swimming is all about mental. It really is. And you have to utilize it. And everything that you think mentally, your body will follow. It's not the other way around.
I love that idea of like being the respectful visitor in the ocean, and yeah,
Yep.
that's
I
really nice.
believe they feel it. I
Yeah.
really do. And you got to put trust in your crew. Your crew's there to keep an eye out. You know, you got the shark shield, yes, but the boat has their equipment too. And it was scary too because the week before my launch, a UK swimmer did get attacked by a baby shark on his hand and his foot. So I was like, oh, great. This, of all times, this had to happen the week before my launch.
I actually, we've got a friend who swam the Catalina Channel similar time to you. I think it was about a week after that incident, and he was sharing pictures of the. It was a cookie cutter shark bite, wasn't it? And we saw the pictures. Mm.
Oh,
But he said the same thing. Once he was in the water, he didn't even think about it. So,
yeah,
um,
you really
yeah.
don't. You really
Okay.
don't. So I've always felt, you know, there was a shark in the water, whether it's the pool, the ocean, there's sharks in our life. I mean, it's just how you approach it.
Another topic, and I don't know if you have much experience of that, or whether you've ever swum with anyone with a disability. We had a couple of questions from people with who have disabilities who still swim and love to swim, and are wondering how, as they get older, if they need to adapt anything, if they need to change anything, or I don't know if you've had some thoughts about that, or had a chance to think about that, or swum with anybody or worked with anybody who's been dealing with that.
Yeah, that's a very good question because I do have my adult learning to swim certification and I do instruct older people um, more than I do children today. And I do find that there are a lot of disabilities that people are becoming more aware of. And yet there's so many things and so many benefits to swimming when you have disabilities. I believe, you know, in the water removes gravity. It gives you that level of an even playing field, and it gives freedom back when you're in the water with disabilities. And you have the tools, the equipment to, from the kickboard to, to the pull buoy. There's so many drills that you can do with the equipment. And I think swimmers don't use the equipment enough. Those are special aids that can help us strengthen particular areas of our body. So if you need to learn to kick more, use that kickboard and do some drills with it. Don't just go to the pool and swim, an hour or two just straight. Use the tools that are given to you, the paddles, and work on the areas. It was really hard for me to go from the pool to open water, knowing that in open water you don't kick as much. So I was always kicking in open water, but then I learned, okay, well, kicking in open water is different than in the pool, especially as a sprinter. You want to kick, you're in and out 50, 100 really quick, but when you're doing long distance, you've got to train your kicking to be different. So I think not only those with disabilities, but everyone should utilize their equipment a lot more than we are to help provide that area. And then when it comes to land, it's all about stretching. It's all about stretching. When you've got that disability, stretching those areas out will make you even stronger too. But you're right, I'm not as knowledgeable in that area, but I do know the tools help everyone. And I think there's going to be a lot more articles you're going to see on disabilities and how to handle that area.
So the next question that's come in, and you're nearly 67 now. Someone has said they're they're talking about when they reach the age of 70, they feel that that's when sort of age related performance decline really kicks in. And is that something you worry about, or do you think that's a myth, or have you put in, are you planning for that, or how are you thinking about that?
Well, I'll never stop swimming. I think swimming will always be my number one thing to do. As I head into retirement, I'm so grateful that I know I'm not going to be that one that says, I don't know what to do. So, if anything, I want to travel the world and do a lot more swimming. I just believe that, you know, when you're young, you follow the rules. When you're older, we gather the wisdom to use. And so I think it's just a matter of deciding what you want to do as you get older. Are we concerned? Maybe we don't swim as fast. I think that's one of the reasons why I moved over from the pool to open water is because I can swim slower. And that's okay. But as long as I finish, and same with the pool, that could be the case too. But boy, I think, that's a great question for Jane to answer because she's there at 90, 95. And so it's like, how does that feel, Jane? But I think we are a mastery when it comes to deciding for ourselves what's good for us. With age, we've earned the experience. We recognize, we've got the recognitions. We've seen what works. We know what trends are out there. We know what's noise. We know what distracts us. So again, we have to utilize our mindset to be better, maybe mentally even more so than physically. And mental will keep your physical, going. But the mistake isn't listening to advice, or it's blindly adopting it without checking whether it fits your body, your goals, or even season of life. So I think this is an individual decision. For example, I take open water swimming. One advice that I took was that, Deborah, you need to gain weight when you're going to do open water, for buoyancy and keeping warm. And I gained 12 pounds for Catalina. And the truth is, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. It slowed me down. It affected my energy. And I just felt that it didn't align with my body to perform the best that it needed to do. So now I'm trying to get that off, and I'm going to do it my way this next swim and see how it works. But wisdom isn't knowing more, wisdom is knowing what to ignore. So just because people give you advice of what you should do, you've got to listen to your own body, you've got to listen to your own mind. As we age, our approach should be, we should be more curious, less obedient, more intentional, less reactive, more self-trusting, and less comparison driven. And that's what I love about open water. Everybody has their own reason why they are swimming.
I am frozen. I really like the message there, because often we think about, as we're getting older, that everything's getting worse. But actually, you've highlighted a lot of things where there are definite advantages in getting older. There's advantages in
Yes,
how you approach your training, about the decisions you
absolutely.
make, about your autonomy. Um, that
Absolutely.
so we
Absolutely.
should be rather than fretting about what we're losing, we should be celebrating what we're gaining.
Absolutely. You put that into the perfect spot there, Simon. It's about embracing what we have. We deserve this time to celebrate what we are capable to do, because we're lapping everybody that's sitting on the couch. We're out there, and we don't stop learning. We don't. We continue to keep learning from each other. We stop outsourcing our decisions is what we do. We need to start listening to ourselves within. That's the upgrade. That's how you own your lane, is to do what works for you and share it with others.
Yeah. And Lucy, we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm sure there's been lots of comments coming in and questions. So is there any sort of topics that we haven't covered or dived into yet that you can pull out?
Well, Now, a while ago, there was a question about marine life, the most interesting marine life that you've encountered.
Oh,
That
oh,
got lost in the mix.
oh, I'd love to share that one with you. As a
We're
matter of
gonna we're
fact,
gonna share. Well, we've got the video to share.
yeah,
Should we
at
bring that
the
up right
end.
now?
Oh, you want to do that now and I'll tell you the story behind
We
it?
okay. You chat while I find that video and bring
Okay,
it up again.
okay. Well, 2.5, 3 miles from land. I've done a couple relays beforehand, and there's always a 30 to 40 pods of dolphins that actually show up. And I was really lucky that that happened on my swim, especially when my coach pacer was in the water with me. So here is a drone shot of our swim. And of course, those dolphins showed up, which was so remarkable. You can see people on the boat taking pictures. It was just a beautiful thing because the water started to mellow out. The sun was coming up and the dolphins were playing with us. And again, there were about 30 or 40 of them. So at first, they would go under the boat, under us, under the kayak, out to here, and then they would come back and come under the kayak, under us, and under the boat. They would just kind of go back and forth, back and forth. Well, apparently, there was one dolphin that was a little ambitious. As it was coming back under the kayak, it turned out when I had my left arm, I was pulling it back and something brushed up against my hand as my hand was going back. And I felt it, but I thought maybe it was a big ball of kelp, but there was no kelp in the way. And I knew it wasn't a shark because that wouldn't have just been a bump, but it brushed up against, and all of a sudden my hand went dead. Now, this is when I have my coach in the water, and she's like, when she got in the water, she's like, Deborah, okay, let's go. I want you to sprint to land. And I'm like, let's go, let's go. Well, when those dolphins showed up, that was a distraction, of course. But then when she said, let's keep going, let's keep going, I could not get my left hand out of the water. It went completely dead. And when I got to land, my entire hand was swollen and red to when we got back to the boat, they had to put it in a bucket of ice. And then 2 days later, I ended up with a big bruise on my forearm. And the only thing we can think of is that it was one of those dolphins that was just giving me a high five for some reason. So that's my memory of wildlife so far.
That got hearts as well, Deborah. Big story.
Anything else from the chat, Lucy?
I had a question that made me laugh because it said, "Did anyone suggest you were too old to take on this challenge?" And I was just thinking, no one would dare, surely.
Oh my gosh. I wish, Lucy, but that's been one of the biggest challenges. Even my family is like, everybody, and that's where, again, that mental mindset has to come in, because I do hear it, Deborah, you're too old. It's very expensive sport. You don't have the time, you're not going to finish. All of that came to me that night when we docked there at 10:30 at night. All of that started hitting me like I was having my own panic of a Broadway play going, gosh, Deborah, you can't do this. You can't do this. You need to be home on the couch watching Netflix like everybody else. But I thought, you know what? Damn it, I am going to make this happen. I'm going to do this for me, not anyone else. And I bulldozed through it. There was no one that was going to hold me back on this. So I was very grateful that I had the crew that I did. They had the signs, they had the pom-poms, which made me smile. And it's all about, not listening to the naysayers. Surround yourself by winners. And I can tell you, looking at each and every one of you right here, right now, this is the community I love. This is who I love. It's all you all to really make me feel welcomed. And I can call anyone in any city and say, hey, do you have a lake or do you have an ocean? Let's go swim. And it's a very welcoming community. I'm on so many different WhatsApps. to talk and all. I take advantage of all the resources online and Facebook and LinkedIn. I just think it's a great, great community. And that's why I'm so grateful to meet each and every one of you and to know that you're just as interested. So always know that there's always time to get off the block and go. It's such a wonderful, wonderful sport, and one of the very few sports that you can do. You know, the average NFL player only lasts 3 years on the field. So look at us swimmers, we're still going.
You must have silenced the doubters now. Catalina must have silenced them.
Yeah.
So I've got another question. It might lead into something else you wanted to tell us about, but you mentioned it's an expensive sport, which obviously when you're traveling the world and you know you have to hire the pilot and you need a support crew. Now, I think you have managed to secure some sponsorship for some of your swims, and you've got some ideas about how people might go about doing that. And so I wondered if you wanted to talk just a little bit about how you've gone about securing sponsorship or you know, finding financial support for these swims. And then I think you also said you've got a webinar coming up where you're going to go into this in more detail.
Yeah, that was one of the hinders of getting me started in open water compared to pool, was the expense. And it took me 3 years to, when I first got invited to do a relay for Catalina, I wanted to see what it was like. And when I was invited, I didn't realize how expensive it was, so I had to pass. The second year, I ended up with valley fever the week before, so I had to bail out, and they had to get an alternate. It wasn't until the third year I finally got to experience the relay with Catalina, and that's when I decided I've got to find a way to do this, because I can afford it relay, but boy, a solo, it's pretty heavy in the pocketbooks. So I discovered, I thought, well, I'm a businesswoman. I'm very business mindseted. And so I started to develop sponsorship packages. And that's what the webinar is about. I thought I would share, because I don't really see that support in the swimming world. And I believe in open water, we really need that support. And there's amazingly, when we did the live stream of my swim on Facebook and LinkedIn, it just blew up, just completely blew up. I'm like, there is a lot of people that are interested in this. We don't get the fans or the marching band out there with us, but we can use other resources to support our swim. And sponsorships, I believe, are. And I thought on my webinar that it would be great to share what I did and how I connected it to other resources that have worked. And now I'm upping my sponsorship package. And my Catalina swim was not only paid for in full, but I made money off of it. So who knows, it could turn out to be a living. Woohoo!
Well, that's an amazingly positive note to wrap up on. Really, I think that although they're expensive, there are ways and means. I mean, obviously you've got your business experience to draw on, but what we'll do, I think probably we said I'll share your email address. I'll send an email to everyone who's here tonight with your email address. So if anyone wants to, because I don't think you've got a link for the webinar yet, but when you do it, if anyone's interested, they can email you.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to invite anyone along. The webinar is called Splash Cash, and we will do it late February. And I have examples of my sponsorship package that you are more than welcome to utilize as well. I think the more the merrier. There's so many people that really want to support us. They just don't know about it. They're not being educated on it. And so that's why even on my website, deborahgardner.com, I put on there about my swimming. Even though it's business, I'm letting people know it. I just think we need to get out there and educate people more often. So yes, I would love for anybody to connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, even my YouTube channel. I have a swimming tag there just for the swimming, because we just don't have enough videos out there. for swimming. We need to showcase people more and more what we are doing as well. So I would love anyone to contact me. I'd be happy to send you a link. We're building it right now. So splash cash. Come get some splash cash.
Okay, so it's 7 o'clock. Lucy, was there anything that you felt that we didn't cover that's come in on the chat before we wrap up?
Much.
No, but there's a comment gone on there which has got lots of reaction about what we need is a marine tracker app, which we can track swimmers on. We can keep like looking at where they've got to in their swims.
Yeah, then none of us can do any work because we'd always been watching people swimming.
I know.
For sure. You know, tracking is very important. I found that with the Guinness. It's been a challenge with them because for Catalina Island, one of the rules is that swimmers cannot wear a watch. And so the boat does tons and tons of swimming, supporting swimmers, diving, fishing, that they don't keep track also. So Guinness has been giving me a lot of heartache to get this confirmed, but I know they will, because you should always have documentation above and beyond just the observer logs, your photos, your videos. So we do need to get that marine tracker. That would be nice.
Okay. And Deborah, that is, I can see from the reactions from the audience that has gone down really well. That's super interesting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. I hope to get to see you and swim with you all sometime.
I'm going to stop recording now, but I know you said you would stay on for a little bit longer for a more informal Q&A. If anyone wants to stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes, we'll just have a sort of more informal, you can turn on your mics, we can have a little chat. But that's the end of the formal session. I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you really
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.